Go ahead, Doug.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the August 19, 2019 Port Authority Board meeting. We'll start things out with approval or correction of the minutes from our last meeting. Do we have any motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett. We have a motion to approve. And a second? Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mrs. Muir. We have a second to approve. Any comments from anyone? Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on. Comments from the public. I don't see anybody else there right now. Let's see if somebody comes in. Mr. Frank, report from the Harbor Master.
All right. I can give you updates on 2 Corps of Engineer projects. Last time I mentioned there was a dredge parked out in the channel on the NIPSCO side. It turns out that is for here. The contractor finished the previous job a little ahead of schedule, so they brought the dredge down here. They will be dredging 45,000 yards from the outer harbor, which sounds like it's mainly going to be on the west side out towards the lighthouse. Apparently there's some shallow area there. They expect to start soon, though they didn't have a date. Right now the contractor and the Corps are finalizing their plans, and the contractor has some submittals to go to the Corps, and the Corps has to approve their safety plan and their quality control plan and all that. So they should be starting probably in the next week or 2, and that material is going to be hydraulically dredged and pumped down to the area of Mount Baldy, probably right out in front there. The second project is the Corps of Engineers project to add stone to the detached breakwater. They're going to add 4,000 tons of stone, and they expect to start that sometime after August 30th. That's when the stone will be ready for the contractor at the quarry. So they'll do that yet this fall. And the second part of that project is to resurface the lakeside end of the pier there, north of the lighthouse. The trouble with that is the area that they're going to be working is currently underwater. And when they drew up the plans, they weren't anticipating that would be underwater. So they're revisiting their plans, and it looks like they're going to delay that portion of it until spring in hopes that the water level drops some over the winter to make it a little easier. So that's what's going on there. And from Edgewater Resources, next week we should have the final plans to review for the 200 dock decking project and the 800 dock ESD electric box project. And that should be ready for us to look over just before they go out for bids, so that should be next week. Other than that, that's all I have for now, unless anybody has any questions.
Questions to the Harbor Master?
I'm sorry. The other project where they're adding did you say 4,000?
The stone?
Yeah, where again?
That'll be on the detached break wall,
Okay.
the separate section out there. I think they're going to start at the eastern end and work their way west, though I'm not positive.
Okay.
Are those actual stones, on the size of it, more like a boulder?
Yeah, boulder would be, apparently they're 6 to 8 feet in diameter.
Wow. Okay.
So they're pretty good sized stones. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? The dredging, is that where it looks like that buildup is from the west pier going straight out, or is it more towards?
I think it's going to cover both of those.
Going up.
The west side tends to creep east, you know.
Okay.
They still need to do their pre-dredge survey, and that's when they'll fine-tune the areas that they're going to do. Though the last time they did a survey was in 2017, and there was a shallow, like a sandbar extending from the lighthouse out towards the detached break wall. And I'm thinking they're going to address that part as well. But I know it is coming east from the where the wall ends on the western side. Mm-hmm. It always sandbars from there going towards the bend in the pier.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of work there too, I think.
Okay. Have you had any complaints from the sailboat?
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of amazing that they're here to do that.
Mm-hmm. Not complaining.
So it must be at least 8 feet still.
Yeah.
Okay.
A question, in your opinion, you're saying that they're going to take the dredge material up to Baldy. And at least in the creek, it's always been a rule from the Corps and IDEM and everybody else.
Right.
Once you take it out of the water, it can't go back.
Right. They're supposed to.
How do they do this?
Well, there's a little, they got a little hiccup with this project as well. They're supposed to deposit this on the beach. The trouble is the area that they marked off as the beach is currently underwater. Yeah. So there's not much beach there. So in some of the previous projects they did this year, they got permission to put it in that tidal zone right there in front of the beach. And it sounds like that's what they're going to do here as well. But that wasn't a for sure thing at the last meeting.
I just like to know that everybody's going to go by the same rules, because they always make it so difficult for us.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, particularly anything south of the west pier.
Right.
Anything coming out of the river, it's got to go someplace
The
else.
contractor was concerned because they were supposed to have a bulldozer and level it out on the beach, and the contractor didn't want to put their bulldozer there because there really isn't a beach anymore, and they didn't want to lose their bulldozer.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody? One more. Can you talk about water level, what you see at the horizon, where we are versus any
Well,
lately?
the last forecast I read from the Corps, they said to expect record at or near record levels for all the Great Lakes for the next 6 months. So they don't anticipate the water level going down any appreciable amount, sounds like. Looking at the dailies, the daily readings, the last 2 days it was a little bit lower than it's been by a couple hundredths, but I think that was just a wind anomaly.
And we're in the general cycle of it starting to go down for the year.
Typical by August it should be trailing off.
Okay, so
that just hasn't showed up in the measurements yet.
would you say that the record low or record highs that they're talking about would be compared to the normal cycle low? I mean, if it's 500 feet now and it usually drips down to 495.
I would expect we'll lose 6 or 8 inches between now and January, just like normal.
Okay.
Unless we get a lot of rain in the fall.
Yeah. Wasn't trying to put you on the spot, just curious. Nobody else? Ms. Palicki, administration.
We are still, as of today, getting calls of people looking for slips even this year for the balance of the season.
Wow.
And on this report, you'll see that last year, we had 125 new customers at the end of August. Right now, we're at 136.
That's great.
And I don't think I've ever seen calls keep coming in this late in the year for a balance of the season. And winter storage, that the people are calling for information on that also.
Looks like all but one of the August people are outside of Indiana too. Looking on the back page there. Michigan, Illinois, Chester, and New England. Gotcha. Okay. Anyone? Sam?
I just have a couple observations to make on the report. And once again, the whole thing is complimentary to the staff. But we now, on these new customers, not our total customers, but these new customers represent 5 states. Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Arizona, Kansas. And 36 of those new customers are from outside Indiana. And then you look down at the bottom on the totals line, and 29 of our new customers were overnight rental visitors, and 11 of them were from the website. But that total of 40 new customers from those 2 elements of our efforts are really significant, because we have a tendency to look beyond the website and just take it for granted that it's there. But it brought us 11 customers. And you look at the price of those 11 slips, it's an important part of our income. So I just think it's really a nice report, and I appreciate what everybody had to do to get it there.
If anyone has been at Trail Creek Marina and look at that part, and then also across at Spring Point, you can see, I was there last week looking around, and there aren't a lot of slips left. There really aren't. I don't know what the status is, but there's not a lot of room for growth or for anybody else to really come in much. So staff really needs to be congratulated. I know they've worked hard. I do know that. I get down here enough to talk to them about it. So really appreciate it, staff.
I guess,
Yes, sir.
maybe something that I look at, if we've gained 136 new customers, we were 90% last year, I mean, we've lost over 100 from last year to this year.
I think it was like 85, but that's a normal,
Pretty normal to lose the bigger percent every year.
Yeah, since
Well,
2008, yeah.
Marianne, I'm not, based on Dan's comments and questions, the last time I saw the report as to why those customers left, we had a lot of people selling their boats, a lot of people retiring and moving out of the area, a few deaths. We had some poor health, and then there was some who just didn't like it here too. But it'd be interesting, I think, to see that report again. I think the board would appreciate that.
We'll have
That's
to
all,
do the next
just to kind of
meeting, but
think
that's
that-
a normal
Is it pretty much
turnaround anymore, yeah.
It seems like it has been.
Anybody else? Mr. Garrett, Finance.
Just gonna touch on 6 or so items on our claims here. If you go to the 12th item down, $5,636.57, that is our water bill. And then go 6 down from there for $10,764.24, that's our NIPSCO bill. And 3 down from there, $93,596.21, that's fuel for resale. The one below that for $9,402 is repairs, and that was for specific
Forklift tires.
forklift tires. Yes.
12 of them.
Wow.
And one down from there, $2,982 is other repairs. And the final item at the very bottom from our was more postage, I believe. Yes, postage for January for things going out.
Yeah.
So if you take those 6 items, add them all together, it's 131,000. Or sorry, that's the wrong number. Sorry, $124,882 of the 134,000. So at least about 9,000. I think 9,000. I think. Yeah, 9,000 left over for the other 22 items. So Unless there's other questions, I would make a bill that we pay our bills. Make a motion that we pay our bills as presented.
Motion to pay our bills as written. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Comments, questions for anyone? I just have one. I apologize for not being here earlier and looking this over earlier. But the Shoreline Marine, I didn't hear the 2,982 near the bottom. What
It
that
was for damages on a boat that happened to Trail Creek. With a forklift.
Okay. That's all I had. Unless anyone else has, we'll take a vote. All right, all those in favor of accepting the bills as written, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
That's all I have.
Anything else, sir?
That's it.
I'm sorry. We're not there yet, Mr. Garrett, but thinking about budget for next year. Just bringing it up. Anything else? Of course, you just said it. No. Excuse me. Mr. Haynes, claims insurance?
I have nothing, and I think that's a good thing.
Okay. Anything from Mr. Haynes? All right, moving on. Port operations, personnel, marina policy. I had some notes, and I guess I left them at home. I can't find them, so I apologize. There were 2 or 3 items I was thinking of. Tim took care of a couple of them. There was 1 or 2 others I can't think of. So if you got anything that you can think of needs to be talked about on operations, please bring it up now. Because I apologize. Been a rough afternoon. All right, don't hear anything. Thank you. Moving on, Mr. Messina, Board of Communications special event. Let me start out and I just ask, have you heard of any sailboat problems getting in because of shallow water at all? Anything like that out in the marina?
I have not, possibly Mr. Cooper, being a sail person,
Okay.
been down here a lot.
Yeah, okay.
Now, we had Defiance, which is a very large sailboat, come in a couple weeks ago. They had to be careful, and they kind of had a lead boat. They had to kind of weave to get down the channel.
Okay.
So there are some spots out there that are less than 6 feet. It all depends, of course, on what the water level is.
Sure.
It goes up and down the foot.
Did you hear what the harbor master was talking about from the Corps, roughly where they're thinking?
I missed that first and very part.
I know you were tardy.
Just kidding.
All right, well, thank you. Danny, I saw your thunder there.
No, that's
Go
good.
ahead.
I figured he would know. I don't really know of any special events. We did have our last Board of Communication or dock rep meeting last Saturday. I was unable to make it, as I think I have told the board before, because I thought I'd be tied up in a fishing tournament, which I was. I didn't make it, but I have talked to Mrs. Pilecki and Mr. Frame about it. They said it was kind of scarce, the attendance of it, which is once again normal for end of the year. Last meeting, we don't have quite as many people come in. We have talked and discussed about maybe making some changes for future years. I don't think the word that we leave from here actually gets out and up and down the docks to others. I think a lot of them come in to get that information for themselves and then maybe don't share it.
You know, I'm not sure I caught the meaning of what you said. Were there some...
J is for the Marina or document 077.
We'll hold up for a second on that. Did the harbor master catch what he exactly? Yeah. Danny's coming back. Let's ask again. Could you? I'm not sure I understood exactly what you're talking about, Danny. Maybe a specific or two, because I was at that meeting.
Oh, okay. Talking with people on the docks, it doesn't seem like the information gets back to them. I've asked if they have information that was shared from our dock rep meeting, and most of them don't know who their dock rep even is. So that's why we talked about maybe making some changes for future years, maybe publishing a handout that they could hand out, or maybe getting some different representatives from each dock to come in, or possibly let everybody, all the voters know that we have that meeting and who their dock rep is. So if we have somebody from the 600 dock, we'll share their name with them and what slip they're from, and that's who that person should report to. Just some changes for future years.
Okay. Sam, Mr. Johns, go ahead.
In regard to the information, you might want to consider just publishing the minutes from your dock committee meetings with all that information on it. And that would be available to everybody in the marina, what, 3-4 times a year.
Okay, that's an excellent report, something we'll keep in mind. I think if minutes do go into the website and stuff, they're on there.
Yeah.
But people maybe don't know to sign on. But to have some kind of handout, maybe of things we're going to discuss and questions that come up. On the positive side, some of the people are talking about the lawn service care that we have now, which is a little different. I think we're doing a lot of it in-house. Our own people are doing it.
Just the Washington Park part right here.
And just positive things on that the lawn does look nice come weekends. It's always cut and fresh, and the edging is always nice. Compliments to the flower lady, and I'm not sure who's doing that this year. It's a place, and if you can get the word back to them, and also our attendants at the gas stocks. They have always been kind and receptive to everybody, and I was asked to pass that along. Maybe for Mrs. Plucking, going back to the report that you're going to publish for us of people we've lost, can you have that maybe broken down by power and sale? Is that possible? Think about it, and if so.
It's possible, just.
Okay, if you think about it, fine, if not.
Could you refresh my memory on that? I know you guys know, but I kind of forget what you're talking about.
On the report, of the people that we've lost, we're saying 85%. Have it broken down by power vote or sailboat to see who we're actually losing.
Is that a problem?
And that's all I have.
The time to each one.
Okay.
Mr. President, that's all I have.
All right. Anything else? Danny? Excuse me.
That's all I have.
I'll just make a comment on your request that the information's not getting back from the dock reps to their docks. I understand what you're saying. I have trouble accepting Port Authority responsibility for that information getting back. I mean, if the dock reps aren't going to get it back, well, you know, hey, that's too bad. But do we need to rework everything in our system to make sure everybody hears everything? You know, I don't. You know, that's what we have the meetings for, is that hopefully the dock reps hear what's going on, and will pass that stuff down in their own fashion. That's all. It's just a comment, not a request. You know, whatever we all agree with, that's fine.
Sure.
Just put it on the bulletin board.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. We do have a couple bulletin boards posted to put the notes on that. And,
Okay. That's the direction?
I think so.
Okay. Sounds good. Anybody else? Mr. Manor is not here tonight. I know he had other things going on. He had said ahead of time that he would not be here concerning the master planning special projects, the park liaison. I know things in the background on special projects. Nothing's happened of a significant consequence to bring to the board yet. When it does, when Mr. Manor gets back, he and I, and we meet with the harbor master, and we should be bringing stuff to attention of the next, I would think the next board meeting, we ought to have some significant things to bring up and talk about. That'd be my guess. I must admit, things seem to be going a little slower on some of these things than we thought. I'll try to answer any questions that you might have concerning Mr. Manor's position. Other than that, we'll just move on. Hearing none. Mrs. Meir, advertising and public relations.
More people are venturing out in Michigan City and starting to use areas that maybe have been underutilized. I believe the Port Authority office did receive a formal inquiry regarding the boardwalk. What would that be over near Sprigg Marina? And it is fallen into disrepair, and the parties wanted to know who was responsible for it, and it's my understanding that Blue Chip Casino is responsible for it. They actually own it. If my memory serves me correct, that it was determined. So right now, the ball's in their court as to what their next move is, but there has been conversation, possibly if it's something that the inquiry was, would the Port Authority be interested in that at all, or the cities, but we'll see what Blue Chip decides, of course, but other than that, nothing else.
There's been a lot of this discussion on the boardwalk issue in the last week and a half, and there's been a response that got back to the mayor, I know, and Mr. Frame was going to do a response either Friday or today, getting back also. There's been a lot of discussion, and I think what you're saying is absolutely correct, that it's pretty much been decided. Don't let me speak out of turn, but it is that boardwalk is, from our standpoint, is the property and the responsibility of Blue Chip at this time. But what you say, we understand that it has apparently fallen under disrepair. Mr. Johns, you had a comment.
Addressing that same issue, we now have discovered, Joe, I don't know, I'm sure you have a copy of it now.
Yeah, the easement?
The property transfer document that
Let me stop just for a second. Mrs. Beard, did you have anything else? We'll
No.
just go right into the attorney's report.
That is it.
Anybody else have anything for Mrs. Meir? Okay, let's go right into the attorney's report, and thank you, Mr. John.
and I'm addressing Mrs. Mears' comment.
Yes.
We finally discovered and found the document that Tim and Jeff Katz and I negotiated with Blue Chip in 2004, having to do with the bathhouse and also the area now called the fishing pier. And the document's really, really clear that belongs to, the real estate belongs to, and the pier belongs to Blue Chip, and it's their responsibility.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
And as well as the liability that goes along with it.
So we're in agreement that it's in the hands of the casino right now to decide what's going on. So as far as we know, we're in essentially...
And by the way, so that everybody understands, the way we got the fishing pier is that IDEM negotiated with Blue Chip as a part of their permitting process that Blue Chip would build the fishing pier. IDEM is the one that drove that project, and Blue Chip capitulated and built it for them. So I would think that if Blue Chip didn't want to maintain it, it's really there for and because of IDEM. So they're a big partner in the whole thing.
Okay. Mr. Sackton, do you have anything to add to that point?
No, I don't. I think that's accurate. It's not ours. It's not under our jurisdiction and control. It's clearly Blue Chip's property.
Okay. And why don't you go ahead with your report, please?
Okay. As I notified the board at the last meeting on the small claims complaints that we had filed, there were 4 of them, and the initial hearing was on August 13th. On August 12th, I'm assuming in response to the small claims complaint that was filed against one of these gentlemen, and I'm not going to name names because it's not necessary to do so, the complaint had asked for damages in the amount of $3,585.30 plus interest, attorney's fees, and costs. And on the 12th, a certified check, I believe, came in for $35,85.30. So the outstanding balance that was owed to the Port Authority was paid. It did not include interest, attorney's fees, and court costs, however. But the purpose of the small claims complaint was to get to some of these people to pay, and this gentleman did. 2 of the others defaulted. They did not appear. And so what the plan is to file motions for default judgment. And what the court does is they'll enter the default, and it goes into the book of judgments, which means if this person tries to qualify for credit or sell a piece of property in the state of Indiana, it will show up on the book of judgments. The judgment has to be satisfied before the property can be transferred. So although we may not necessarily pursue what I described before as the proceeding supplemental, the judgment is there, and all we have to do is 10 years from now renew the judgment, and then it'll be good for another 10 years, so you get a total of 20 years where the judgment is on the books and it is encumbering any property that they try to sell. The final person who was the subject of a small claims complaint, we still haven't been able to locate an address for that person to get him served. We've got to get him served before we can then go before the court. Mr. Johns had asked what the total amount was of the small claims complaints. They were $11,420.78. Of that, we've collected almost 3,600 of it. In addition, based on the board's new policy, which allows the management to indicate that there are individuals that should be subject to small claims complaints. This past weekend, I put together, I believe, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, well, actually 8. 8 letters. They're basically the letter that we use for the abandoned boats. They're the letters that comply with the statute, but in addition to that, I've added a paragraph advising them that if they don't pay within 30 days, they could be subject to a small claims complaint. And I'm assuming those letters will go out relatively soon if they haven't gone out already. The total number of past due balances for those 8 individuals is $14,596.97. So I'm hopeful that the letter will perhaps prompt one or more of these individuals to at least pay something on their past due balances. If they don't, I think the proper course is to file these small claims complaints and try to get them to come into court and either negotiate a settlement, or if they want to go to trial, then suffer a judgment against them, or as in the case of the individual who paid his balance in full, if they come in with a check and pay, then we've collected a portion of that, almost $15,000. And then a final issue is a letter is going to go out to a slip holder who back in late July had what I can describe as a very raucous get-together, which caused a lot of consternation among slip holders around him and in fact on other docks. There was very loud music and shining spotlights on other boats, profanity, slurs, all sorts of things. And so the gist of the letter was, this is a family marina and our rules and regulations prohibit this conduct. Rules and regulations are part of your slip license agreement. Violations of the rules and regulations could in fact result in a termination of your slip license. I think at this point, in consultation with management, we don't at this point want to terminate it, but I let the person know that it's something that will be taken into account, that we're operating at near capacity and that there is a demand for the slips of the size this individual is using, and that in the future there's no guarantee that because this person had a slip license in the past that he'll get a slip license in the future. That we're going to give slip licenses to people who follow the rules and regulations and who are respectful to their fellow slip holders. So I'm hopeful that it's going to solve the problem. If it doesn't, then I think we can take the matter up, and if the board determines, we'll terminate the slip license.
Okay.
Because there were a number of complaints from families who had children around, young people around, that shouldn't have to put up with this kind of stuff. And that's all I had.
Mr. Johns?
I have a question in regards to the small claims action. Now, we agreed last year or the year before that the fact that we have not solved these issues, expenses continue to accrue against the boat.
Correct.
To include the demolition of the boat, if it comes to that.
That is correct.
Our crew. So that'll be all a part of the credit report that goes out on the people who actually fail the process. Is that right?
If we incur costs that for demolition of a boat, and those are included within the complaint, that would be included in the judgment. What you'll see is a dollar amount of the judgment. You won't see a breakdown as to what it was made up of.
Thank you, John.
Danny?
Do we need a motion or anything for the first gentleman who paid the $3,600 to give Mr. Zach Noon the authority to satisfy that? Because it's still open, I believe, until it's satisfied.
Well, I think as a matter of just general law, because the claim has been satisfied, what you might want to bring a motion on is to waive the interest, attorney's fees, and court costs. Because at that point, if you waive that, then I have to dismiss the case because the relief that we have requested has been satisfied.
Go ahead. John?
Is the property is the boat still on the property, or has it been gone? Or
It's gone.
the boat's gone? Okay. All right.
So if someone would bring a motion to waive the interest, attorney's fees, and court costs, then the plan would be to dismiss the complaint with prejudice, that it's been satisfied.
I make a motion, we accept the paid amount and waive the added expenses, interest, and attorney fees.
And court
And
costs.
court costs.
Got a motion to accept the payment for the voter in question that's in default. Do we have a second?
I have a second on that. I agree
Do we
with
have a second? Do we have any questions, comments?
that. There was a certified check. I mean, we're sure that the check's going to clear the bank. I mean, it's already us.
Right, a personal check that hasn't cleared.
Good question.
Okay.
Let's make a comment. I think this is the right direction to go. Not that it matters, but I definitely approve of this whole direction. So any other comments or questions? Let's take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, a hand, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, approved. I don't have anything else on the attorney's report. Anybody else have any comments on that? I guess I do. A lot of the things that you just said have been discussed between the harbor master, Mr. Flicky, and myself. So well aware of what's going on. So and direction is being worked on, and I appreciate that. Any new business to come before the board? Any new business? Any old business, other than the update for ESD, which I think the harbor master has mentioned, and or the 200 dock redecking, in which we know all of that will be updated as soon as we get more information to talk about. Hearing none, I'll move on. Guest recognition. Mr. Cooper, do you have anything for us?
I do not today.
Okay. All right. All right. Not hearing hearing nothing else to talk about, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn at 5:39.
I second that.
We're adjourned. John, he beat you to the punch there.